that, getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows. Well, hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome to the first ever race of the Ferrari Road Oval Challenge here at Sebring tonight for what is going to be a fantastic 7-round series over the next 14 weeks here on SMB. My name is Ron Maunz. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Dylan Coyle. Joshua Wilkie is our producer for tonight's broadcast. Well, Dylan, welcome into SMB and welcome into the Ferrari Road Oval Challenge here from the XMS series. These guys always put on some absolutely amazing events, but here for the first ever season of this brand new championship with these brand new Ferrari Challenge cars, these things are absolute monsters. They are beasts that can put you on your butt with the snap of a finger, and around this track, which is so bumpy, I have a feeling that the word of the evening is most certainly going to be challenge.
Absolutely, Ron, and a pleasant good evening to all of our viewers on the SMB YouTube channel. Yeah, these Ferrari 296, these cars are absolute beasts, like you said. V6s with around 600 horsepower, 2.9 liter power plant. I mean, these vehicles are just out of this world. They're fun to drive. They've been in the entire circulation of both IMSA and everywhere else that it's used since 2023. So still a relatively young car in terms of how often it is used. Qualifying, by the way, is going on here, and this is an interesting race format for this first race of the season. 2 30-minute races, Ron.
Yeah, and just to quickly touch on the format that we'll be seeing throughout this season here on Slow Motion Broadcasting for the brand new championship here in the Ferrari Road Oval Challenge. Going to be running 2 30-minute long races, a top half of the field invert come time for the second, but currently in the midst of a 15-minute long solo 4-lap qualifying session. These racers have the track all to their lonesome, and they have full reign to try and set in the best lap time that they possibly can. And just to briefly touch on the schedule that we have to look forward to here for this season of action here on SMB, as I said, it is the Ferrari Road and Oval Challenge, so we've got road courses and ovals. Shocker, shocker, I know. But the season calendar that we have to look forward to between this first race here on September the 24th all the way through to the season finale on December the 17th, we have got Sebring, we've got Barber, we've got Michigan. Yes, Michigan, the oval, the 2-mile D-shaped oval, followed immediately by another wild race, Le Mans, for round number 4. Then we're going to be heading off to IRP Lucas Oil International Raceway Park on that flat track for round number 5, Okayama for the 6th round of this championship, and then the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course to bring this championship to a conclusion. And we've got some many talented racers up and down the field here in this debut season of this series. Some past champions in the XMS world, some past champions that we've seen on different series here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, keeping my eyes on Michelle Squire, a real-life Spec Miata competitor and a champion this past season in the Ray Esports Club Racing League. Plenty of talent in this field here for this brand new championship.
Yeah, I mean, what more could you ask for, right? It's, you know, maybe we wouldn't see Ferrari 296s racing at IRP in real-life competition, but the really fun thing about simulators like iRacing in particular is that you can make these leagues race at these tracks wherever you want with whatever car you want, and it's going to behave realistically as it should. And that's exciting. You might as well make use of it. You don't always have to be going to exactly where these cars are going to compete as their real-world counterparts. So I'm pretty excited for those ovals, but there's nothing like starting a season at Sebring. Have you ever been there, Ron?
I have not, unfortunately. I only went down to Florida once in my entire life. I think I was about roughly 15 months old. I went there to visit my my grandmother and the rest of my family down there in Florida. I was a barely sentient Spec. I remember there's actual footage of me being absolutely terrified by Woody when I went to Disney World on that trip. So I'm not sure if I want to go back to Florida again, just because I don't want to cower underneath the massive presence of Woody there at Disney. But no, I would love to go to Sebring. It's one of my favorite tracks on iRacing, one of my favorite tracks in the real life world as well. Plays host to my second favorite sports car race of the IMSA calendar, the other being the Petite Le Mans, but it is an absolute staple of racing. The second track, the only other track preceding it, was actually the Indianapolis Motor Speedway when the Indy 500 was a part of the F1 calendar, but it was the first track to ever play host to the United States Grand Prix all the way back when it first opened, way back in the 50s. It is a storied racetrack. This sports car racing runs through its veins. We've got some good sports cars here and some beautiful sounding engines thundering around this track too.
Yeah, just brilliant. This is just a beautiful sound as they head into that final corner right there, riding on board. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about Sebring. I've actually been fortunate enough to have been at Sebring International Raceway for the 12 hours last year. It was actually I worked for Coyle Racing in the Xfinity Series last year, this year, and the year before then, but we had an off weekend. And what did I do? Instead of taking my time away from a racetrack, I flew to another racetrack just for fun. And I saw a lot of couches get burned, because that is something that happens at the conclusion of the Sebring. What did I say? 12 hours. It's 10 hours, if I remember correctly. Now I'm forgetting no, it's 12. It's for sure 12. I should not have doubted myself, Ron. Oh, man. You know, sometimes I doubt myself, and I never should.
See, I was just going to say the fact, and felt that, but I was just going to say the fact there is a 10-hour race at Sebring every year, and one of my close buddies from my karting days, my buddy Robbie, actually got the opportunity to run in the Sebring 10-hour, which is part of the Champ Car Endurance Series, running in a Mustang in very heavily rain-soaked conditions back here, and I think it was June or July, if my memory serves me correctly. I don't really have the best memory in the world. I can barely remember where I have my keys more often than not. But currently in the midst of this qualifying session, Mike Dam, top of the board right now. And just to quickly touch on the classes that we have here in this series, we have 3 to touch on the pro category. We got the AM category running as well, and the silver class as well. So you'll be seeing it marked off with the wonderful graphics that we have here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, and seeing all the action with Whiplash Simcams, who is providing the track cam for us here tonight. Zach De Elva is currently your top qualifier as it stands right now, holding on to a pretty solid lap time. We run on board with Chris Thorman, your current P5 qualifier, shipping it off down into turn number 1. You can see the bumps really giving a big test of the suspension through the turns.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing that everybody knows about this circuit, right? It's very flat, but where it lacks in elevation changes, it adds in character with the bumps, with the actual racing surface, just being an absolute monster on these cars' suspensions. I mean, you can see it just bouncing over one of the, I guess you could say, the less bumpier parts of the racetrack, this really heavy braking zone into 7. It's probably the best passing opportunity besides going down to Sunset Bend, turn 17, and of course in turn 1. So that you see a lot of action happen there, especially going through that bridge. And this sector here, it's very technical. It's hard to run here anything other than single file. This is a very difficult braking zone. You're kind of trail braking as you enter into that turn, and then it gets really fast from this segment on.
Yeah, in the back half of the track, it's a track of 2 halves. You've got the Titan technical section at the top end of the circuit. The top end of the track, funnily enough, IndyCar uses that circuit as a little bit of street course testing in the off season, which, it being IndyCar, the off season lasts about 15,000 years. The bottom end of the circuit, though, still the remains of what used to be and still is a airfield. This was built on an old World War II airfield, and my only properly good landing in my flight sim career, which that may sound bad, I don't have rudder pedals, so that's my excuse, actually came at the airport right outside the bounds of this racetrack. It is a wonderful facility. This certainly on my racing bucket list as we see Chris Thorman come across the line. Will it be an improvement on that lap time that he set before, currently at a 157.9? Not going to improve, so the driver of the number 60 car remaining onto that P6 spot as it stands currently. As you can see, many other racers saying in some good lap times, currently qualified right in front of a name that I certainly recognize, now in 8th, as jumping up into P3 a couple of moments ago. There was Chester Guidry in the number 1 car, so certainly some lofty expectations for the 1 car, currently qualified in P3. But just want to touch on your current 8th place qualifier, a man who I have probably shared a booth with more often than most. It's Ryan Cobb, the usual race director on the XMS side of things. Him and I did race control for about a year and a half over on the Monday road side of things. Nice to see him out here on the racetrack, and what I gotta say is the best team name I've ever seen. We'll be able to get the graphic up a little bit later on, and it is a humdinger when you see the other team name that he selected, but I'm just gonna leave it off of that as we see the number 51 car at his way down into turn number 3, a spot where drama can most certainly break out. We saw it at the Sebring 12 a couple of years ago when the top running competitors in GTP all wiped themselves off in the blink of an eye. That turn 3 is somehow even more challenging than turn 1 in some cases.
Yeah, you're not exactly wrong about that. That turn 3, again, it's your car is very loaded up, right? Your right sides are heated from that turn 1 bend. You're just trying to make those tires do a lot of work, and more than they actually want to do. And that's also after making the left sides do a lot of work as you go around Sunset Bend. So the car's already got a lot of components working against you as you try and slow the car through a very technical and tricky bit of chicanery coming up right here. Of course, we're watching Pfeiffer, go into that turn 3, turn 4, turn 5 complex right there into 5. Oh, man, it's one of the most difficult turns as well, 4 and 5, I should say.
Yeah, that section's super tough. I know in the laps that I was doing in this car, trying to get my eye in as to what these racers were going to expect and prove the very good reason why I'm usually behind the microphone instead of behind the wheel. Really had a hard time trying to find the apex off into turn number 5. It was super tricky heading off through that part of the racetrack. We'll have to see if some racers have challenges through there as well. I was going to touch on the fact we had a tie for the pole, keyword being had, as Mike Dam has been able to jump up into the pole position, breaking through at a 157.144. It was very briefly a tie between Michelle Squire in the number 75 car and Zach Del Eva in the number 33 car. They were both tied on the exact same lap time. It was a 157.370 not too long ago. They've broken apart now, but still on the exact same lap time. Now it's a tie for second instead of for the pole.
Well, sometimes it also comes down to if iRacing, I'm not sure if it does have a system where it can go past those 3 decimal points or 2 decimal points, I should say, that we're seeing on our live timing. Of course, it goes to 3. Does it go to 4? If it's a tie to the, yep, there we go. All 3 digits are tied. Then it really comes down to, can they go to 4 or will they be going back to whoever set the lap time first? Because that is how it goes once it goes past in the real world, the mathematical certainty of thousandths to 10,000ths of a second. Then it's just whoever sets the time first gets that position over the next person. So always an interesting thing where you see those mathematical ties, and you couldn't do it if you tried.
Yeah, and doubly so around a long racetrack like this here at Sebring. It is not a small racetrack by any means. 17 turns with challenge, 3.74 miles, so nearly 3 3/4 miles long as a racetrack, and probably some of the longest lap times that we'll be seeing all throughout the season, with the only track with longer lap times definitely going to be Le Mans come time a little bit later on in this season calendar. With only 2 minutes left to go here in this qualifying session, seeing qualifying run down. Only a few more cars left to set times that they're on the racetrack. Do want to touch on the other top qualifiers in all of our classes as they're marked off on the graphics. Mike Dam, of course, holding on to that provisional pole position.
Cobb.
Cobb jumping up to P6 right at the end of this qualifying session, a 157.745. He puts in a very good performance indeed. Chester Guidry, currently the top qualifier of the AM competitors, slotted in P5 as it stands presently. As of the silver competitors, our top qualifier presently is Casey Knight, as marked off on the graphics, currently slotted in P13.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the 3 different classes that are going to be racing here tonight. Of course, you've got your pro class, which is the ones that are labeled with the black kind of slash on the left of the timetable. Your AM class in red. The silver is, I'm going to give you one guess, and one guess only. Ron, please tell me who the silver ones are.
Sliver.
Ah, man, you failed. Silver class for the silver slash. And wow, I feel like I just said hash slinging slasher right there. But anyway, where the pro drivers are the ones that are competing for the championship. Everybody else is pretty much either running within, just for fun, or running within the few drivers that are in that same class as them. But this season, of course, it'll shake out in a lot of different ways. So we're not even going to worry about points today. But not worrying about points also means we have to talk about bonus points, because that is up for grabs. Pole position for race 1 gets you 1 bonus point, and Mike Dam is about to get that 1 bonus point.
And that is how it shakes out here in this qualifying session. Do want to raise the fact I'm not sure if Casey Knight is actually in the silver category, because the silver class is allotted to racers who are senior drivers, as it's described. And I have spoken with Casey, a top running racer this past season in the Ray Esports Club Series, and unless she has a very young voice for her age, I don't believe she's a senior citizen. So I'm not sure how exactly that's all worked out, but we still do have a fantastic season of racing action to look forward to here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. And to get this race up and rolling, let's have a quick look at tonight's starting grid. It's going to be Mike Dam, the Canadian behind the wheel of the number 93 car, starting this race from the pole position. Michelle Squire set to join Dam on the front row. Zach DeElva will start this race in third alongside Kevin Carlisle in fourth. It's going to be Chester Guidry starting this race in fifth, the top qualifier of the AM drivers, with Ryan Cobb completing row number 3. It'll be Elias Spiker starting this race in P7. Rob Schwenkler will start in P8. Brock Morris will start in 9th, with Chris Thorman rounding out our top 10.
Continuing down the leaderboard, Jimbo Pfeiffer in P11. Jeff Jacobs starting alongside in that 6th row. Casey Knight, she'll start in that row number 7 and 13th. As we continue going down, Keith Stein alongside and into row number 8, Joe Nagy, as well as Bobby Childs. They're all starting to get a little bit mixed up right here. So, oh, look at that.
Knight broke out the WD-40.
Yeah, no, we definitely need to get the squeaky wheels moving. Nagy and Childs in row 8. Mike Mann, Sean Mulholland in that 9th row. Row 10, Aaron Sunday. No, we're Aaron on Wednesday. Tom Jenkins in 20th, and Jake Mackey will start in the final spot. No qualifying time set there. And that is definitely the worst pun I'll make all night long.
Oh, we are going to be making some absolutely terrible puns throughout the entirety of this season here on Slow Motion Broadcasting.
And yelling 2 words.
Yeah, that we certainly will. Yeah, go Bird. Yeah, we are going to be an absolute torment throughout this season. So full transparency, folks. I still live in the city of Philadelphia, and Dylan, you're from the city of Philadelphia too, albeit you live a little bit farther down south nowadays, if my memory serves me correctly. So still Philly guys at heart, and nobody is more confused about that fact than our producer, Mr. Joshua Wilkie, who I guess his football alliance would maybe be. What team do they have in Seattle? He's up there in Maple Syrup Land, up in Canada. So I'm not sure. This is an odd question to ask the producer. Oh yeah, he brings up CFL. I was going to ask Josh what his NFL affiliation would be.
The answer is none.
None. Zippo, zero.
Yeah. You know, CFL is pretty exciting. You know, you got, instead of 4 downs, it's 3 downs. You have that point for missing a field goal, but getting it out the back of the end zone, which is a 20-yard end zone. I kind of enjoy watching some CFL action. I will not lie. I do drink the maple syrup, and that is that. And I'm also a big hockey guy, so let's go Flyers too. You know.
Funnily enough, my dad actually went to the Flyers game when they chased the Soviet Red team off the ice way back in the day.
In January. Oh, okay.
He was there, and he said that he felt the entire place was going to crumble down with how loud everybody was screaming at the time. But speaking of things that are loud, we have got a pack of loud race cars out there on the racetrack, and everybody looking to get the first race of the evening and the first race of the season, the first race of the series for that matter, started off in the best way they can. 30 minutes at Sebring is still a challenge, and may be 1/24th of the length of the Sebring 12, but it is still a challenge.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's not just, you know, an endurance race here. It's a sprint race. It's 2 sprint races. So you've got to be full focus, all out, the entire length of this race as we ride on board with Michelle Squirick starting on the front row, going to be starting in P2. Mike Dam is going to control this field once the pace car goes off. Are you ready, Ron? I am so excited for this series.
I am ready. I am absolutely ready for what this brand new adventure here on Slow Motion Broadcasting has to offer. The debut race and the opening round of the Xtreme Motorsports Ferrari Road and Oval Challenge. We've got an awesome schedule to look forward to, and you'll be able to catch all of the action right here on Slow Motion Broadcasting from now through pretty much the end of the year as that pace cars come down pit lane. The green flag is out, and the drivers are on their way. Pretty good start from Dan. He'll try and lead them off down into turn number one. Up the gears and down on the brakes are going to go right about now, looking to see who's going to be able to get the most amount of spots at the very start of this race. Some big jumpers early on, some drivers spinning a little bit farther in the back. That, I believe, unless I'm very much mistaken, is a sideways start from Mike Maunz there, 3 wide and spinning big time down into turn number 3.
Oh goodness, they're still making contact, and there's a lot of chaos, a lot of mayhem in 3 and 4. I mean, you 100% called it, Ron. That turn 3 is one of the most difficult spots on this racetrack. Even if you make it out of turn 1 clean and green, turn 3 might be a little bit challenging.
Yeah, unfortunately, their turn 1 only caught out, I think, 1 or 2 drivers. I think it may have potentially been Mike Mann, who is the epicenter of the drama all through turn number 1. But then, as the field went their way down into turn number 3, all sorts of pandemonium broke loose. Kevin Carlisle, Casey Knight at the epicenter of all of that. It was some pretty big evasive maneuvers from a lot of racers. I think I saw Jeff Jacobs go off the track along with Ryan Cobbs. I think Chris Thorman, he's had an off-track moment. He's out of the race. Thorman with a moment that had to have been down into Cunningham of turn number 10, the top end of the circuit, just as challenging as the bottom end. 11 and 10, really tough part of a racetrack, and I think Thorman may have gotten called out by that.
Yeah, potentially. Let's look at the replay here as we're kind of following with Mann's trajectory through turn 1. Oh, just got a little bit loose over the bumps. Almost got tagged multiple times, but honestly, that might have been a blessing in disguise for the driver of the 32, because all that chaos happens in front. He's not a part of it.
And now we take a look at the drama that went on down into the turn, and unfortunately there for Carlisle, got spun by Chester Guidry on the inside. It was 3 wide racing down to turn number 3. That is never going to work, and more drivers getting collected in the midst of that drama as well. We'll follow Guidry and his perspective in all of this, running on board with the racer of that lean green machine. And unfortunately there, it wasn't a slick move down into the turn, having to mow the grass. It actually got a bit of a clump to the rear right as he tried to get out of that drama. A messy start for all of those racers. Thorman still in the pits after that incident. Kevin Carlisle has come down pit line as well, and Jimbo Pfeiffer in the 00 car has also made the call to come into the pits. It's a black flag in the air for Joe Nagy. That had to have been for speeding on pit lane. We do have an incident point limit of 17x, but if somebody hit that in 1 lap at Sebring, I would have to give them some money.
I don't feel like it's too difficult to hit that in 1 lap here. Hey, you want to hear some more bonus points? I know we promised, or I promised, not you. I was the only one that promised that we weren't going to talk about bonus points here. I guess I lied. We're going to talk about points and bonus points at that. So there is a maximum bonus point structure of 7 points per event. 1, of course, for the pole. That's the only pole bonus point given. We'll talk about race 2 and the way that that is set up a little bit later. But you can also earn a bonus point for leading a lap, as well as a bonus point for gaining the most positions over the course of the race. But most interestingly, and why I started talking about that, was 1 bonus point for staying at 6 or fewer incidents over the course of an event. It's not going to be easy to do, and I feel like any of the drivers involved in that melee in the early goings here, they're going to be either past that limit or close to it.
Yeah, so these racers gonna have to think of 2 different kinds of points tonight. The good kind of points and the bad kind of points, even though there's a debut race, the first ever event here for this season. They still have to worry about that in a 7-round championship, where even though we have 14 races and a lot of opportunity to get some points, there's also not a lot of opportunities to gain it back. It's not the longest series here this season as we look at side-by-side racing going on. This is a battle between Zach de Elva and the number 33 car, trying to make up some moves on Keith just dying down into turn number 1. And look at Elva. He's got to clear him off into the turn, so close to making contact as they head their way out of 1 into 2 and 3 right now. Zach Elva looking to try and regain some ground after a rather tough start to this race, down 7 spots from where he started at the epicenter of some drama in the early stages. He is the big spot loser as it stands currently, down 7 spots from where he started. Meanwhile, the car a little bit farther up the road, right in front of him in terms of spots, Aaron Sunday, a driver I recognize from Porsche Cup car competition here on the iRacing platform, currently running in P9 in the 331 car, 10 spots gained since the drop of the green flag, so well done to Sunday.
Yeah, what a admirable job. You have to imagine that on that early wreck in turn 3 on lap 1, he did a good job of avoiding a lot of the chaos and got through it pretty unscathed. And of course, right now he's trying to hold off Del Elva, who himself, he's very fast, takes a peek down the inside. Oh, almost forced Sunday to go into the grass right there. That could have been extremely hairy and dangerous. They're heading towards Bishop Bend in 14.
Yeah, but move off into turn 13 of Tower Bend. It's lucky number 13 for a very good reason. Really tough to get a move done off through there as we take a look at this moment in the dive from Zach to Elva on the number 33 car. You can see
Wow.
Sunday may have let him go for that move. Either he let him go for that move thinking, you know what, I got to pick and choose my battles, or he just didn't think that he would go for a move off in there. 12 and 13, rapid succession, doubly so in these race cars where I've heard some racers talk about the way the brakes are in these machines. As speaking of a brake in these machines, that's Isla Specker with a massively damaged front end of that car. It's good for air conditioning. You won't have to worry about any sort of overheating with the front brakes, but outside of that, that is not going to be good down a long flat out blast here.
Yeah, I feel like the trade-off isn't worth it, right? That's not going to be a fun ride. Look at all the bumps going through turn 1 right there. It still seems like a relatively fast race car. We'll see as this race continues if that is going to be the case. Spiker has not lost a single spot from the start of this event right here. But Bobby Childs, he's the brainchild, right, of everything going on in this series. And he, so far, is getting passed by Del Elva. He is not playing games. He wants the positions. He's got to be decisive, and he's absolutely making these moves stick.
Zach Del Elva really being the standout star at this point of the race. He went for the dive down into the hairpin on Bobby. He got that move done to jump his way up into P8, but you can see Bobby flashing the headlights on that race car. He once again to the head of Zach. He has been going for some lunges thus far here in this race as we take a look at the move that he had. Yeah, look at that. That's about a car length and a half, maybe even 2 car lengths down on the brakes. He's gonna go. That is full commitment. And a quick little heads up, folks. These racers are running with a fixed setup. That was probably a little bit of contact between Del Elva and Bobby Childs. I think that may have picked up a couple of incident points for Bobby as well. But these drivers are running on a fixed setup, folks. I think the only things they can change, and you can correct me if I'm wrong to anyone tuning into the series that's more familiar with these race cars on the fixed setups than I am, I think the only things they can change are the traction control and the ABS, and you can be 100% sure that the ABS was being used heavily with that move from Del Elva.
You know, even with that being said, you almost have to brake a little bit longer when you have ABS. When you have ABS turned down, you're more in control. I think this is going to be an easy move. Yeah, you can't really fight back on the outside right there without the potential of going into the dirt and the grass on the exit of turn 1. That's another position gain for Del Elva right there. And, I mean, he is a man on a mission right now, but the one driver in front of the rest of the field is Mike Dam. He started this race P1, stays in P1, and he's got a little bit of lap traffic coming up. I'm sure it's not going to be too difficult. It might add some aero difficulties, if you will, with that turbulent, dirty air just in front. And coming up to these faster turns, that actually could be a little bit detrimental. Maybe Squirick will be able to get back within that 1.5 second range that she was just there.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what these racers can do in terms of reeling in the gaps between now and the end of this race. It's been a hectic first 9 minutes of it. Mike Dam, still your race leader, holding on to that 1.6, nearly 1.7 second gap to himself and Michelle Squire. Pretty good start, even with that drama down into 3, but it's been a good start for your current AM leader of Chester Guidry. You can see him in that Christmassy scheme, the green and the red on that machine. He's gotten tailed, though, by Robert Schwankler in the 235 car, so keep an eye on those two competitors. It's interclass battling with an AM and a pro racer duking it out for spots and the spot on the final podium spot. Now we believe that the drivers are scored based off overall finishing position, not in terms of how they finish in class. So that P3 will mean exactly the same to your current AM leader of Chester Guidry that would to your current P3 runner of the pro drivers of Rob Schwankler. As you can see them both get very flirtatious with that outside tire barrier coming out of the final corner.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think as well. It is based off of your overall finish, and right down the inside, taking advantage of a small mistake that we saw there heading into turn 1. So Easy does it, and Schwankler is up into a podium position. I wonder if the fight back will be on from the driver of that number 1 Ferrari. Let's take a look on board with Chester. Let's see exactly what went wrong, because yeah, you see right there, a lot of oversteer, has to correct that and loses that momentum, loses that spot. Hey, you got to be perfect in these 30-minute races sometimes.
As you can see, definitely not a perfect run in this event for Isla Specker, who's still dropping down in that number 86 machine. Damage on the front end of that race car still. And at this point, it's basically a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation when it comes to pitting in to repair the damage on that car, because not going quick out there on the racetrack presently with how much damage there is on that race car. That's basically, I can't even say that's like a parachute behind you. That's basically like dragging an anchor through asphalt. But if you come down pit lane, you're gonna be well at the back anyway. So it's a double-edged sword in terms of coming in to repair that damage on the 86. I think it's in the position right now just to kind of hang on, try and get the best spot that you can. And a reminder, folks, we did touch on this a little bit earlier on in this broadcast during the pre-race show. There is a top half of the field invert for that second race, the other 30-minute long heat race that we have later on this evening. So pretty much any spots outside of the top 10, you finish there, and that's going to be where you start for the race. So Isla Specker probably not going to get into the top 10 and be able to potentially start higher up come time for race number 2 this evening, but oh, is that Mackie?
Casey Knight just barely squeaked by him. My goodness, that could have been detrimental, and what a great live shot we had. Let's take a look at the replay. Mackie hitting those bumps, and I mean that car was just oh man, going over the bumps. It was like a very slow procession of that car turning a little bit too much, and I mean, Casey Knight, she really didn't have to do much to avoid that, right? I mean, she just kept her line, and ultimately it turned out to be the right decision. But a little thing we saw earlier with Jeff Jacobs, his team, of course, less of a team, more of a website. And let's talk about that, the SCCA Foundation. So the series is supported by the SCCA Foundation. You can visit them at sccafoundation.org. And the SCCA Foundation provides funding for the SCCA Academy, training the next generation of race workers and volunteers that make road racing events possible. Always great to have a little bit of support from an organization like the SCCA Foundation. However, road racing, we're going to see some oval racing as well.
Yeah, we've got sports cars, so we got the sports car part of the Sports Car Club of America. Jeff, somebody who I've known for many, many moons. Him and I, both members of the Philadelphia region of the SCCA. A very nice guy who helped me actually get into broadcasting in the first place. I remember just airdropping in on one random discussion at it was actually at the Philadelphia Region SCCA Championship banquet at the start of 2023, right after the 2022 season. I think I just said, oh yeah, I'm kind of interested in getting into this broadcasting stuff because I was getting out of the karts that I'd spent 10 years racing in. And Jeff ended up sending an email to my father, which my dad saw about 5 weeks after the fact, and it was like, oh yeah, if he wants to get started, I have an opportunity to fit him in. And here we are. Now I make falling anvil jokes and make fart jokes on these shows as well. Casey Knight currently involved in a battle with herself and Sean Mulholland right in front in the number 39 car. This is a battle for 11th as it stands presently, right towards the tail end of this pack that's led by Keith Stein. Despite the fact that we've had some drama in the first half of this race, this field still rather packed in together as Sunday and Stein were actually battling off into the hairpin of Aaron Sunday, getting a move done on Stein to jump his way up into 8th.
Yeah, really solid job still from Aaron Sunday, up 11 spots. And Sean Mulholland is right in the mix of here. Mulholland drives in 11th right now with a very big intent to have that pause and that pun be recognized by somebody who is watching. Nonetheless, Sunday with an awesome move on the outside right there of turn 6 and makes it stick into that heavy braking zone into turn 7. Ooh, a little bit squirrely, a little bit too late on the braking, slowed him down heading up through that Fangio chicane. So, did you get the pun, or the reference, I should say?
That I did. That I did, and hearing that our producer, Mr. Joshua Wilkie, got it as well. Game super strong at the present moment as Keith Stein still right behind Sunday, and let's see if it will be a good day for Sunday here on this Wednesday as he's still got Stein trying to challenging over that move around the outside through the final corner. That is a good move there because it's going to give him a lot of momentum heading down the start finish straight away off into turn number 1. He's going to look for it on the outside. Sunday going to throw the block though. He chases his tail down into turn number 1, so Stein gonna have to hold on to that, but Sunday runs wide. He goes off into the dirt and through into P8 is going to go Keith Stein, playing that patient game and getting that move done after all.
Yeah, that was a great little bit of action right there. I thought we were going to see some turn 1 catastrophe. How about a turn 5 catastrophe? Keith Stein into the tire barriers, and that front bumper off of that Ferrari 296. Oh, man.
Oh, and that's exactly what I've done so many times in my iRacing career. That exit curb coming at turn number 5 can be lethal, and unfortunately it just claimed another victim there. Keith Stein hit that curb, bang, there you go. That curb is so high. Even in a sports car, you think, oh, it's a sports car, you can run over the curbs just fine. Not necessarily the case when you're having to gun it out of these turns. Hit that curb, got that weight transfer twisted up a little bit, and around you go like a top. Keith Stein ending up on the wall. He's now down P14. It was looking like a good race for him, but sadly all got to come down to naught as look at Mulholland and Knight battling hard. That's down to Bishop of turn number 14, and look at that move from Casey Knight. Still not over as they head their way down to the next turn of 15, but Knight gets that move done to jump her way up into that final top 10 spot with a brilliant move around the outside.
Remarkable racing from Casey Knight and Sean Mulholland right there. Let's take a look at the replay of how that move got made. So Mulholland a little bit slow, had that left side dipping into the dirt. Think this is heading into Bishop Bend, and yes, that is. I mean, right there, that's Casey Knight taking advantage of a slightly slower exit from Mulholland due to that mistake. And I mean, Knight just drove on by, and what do we see right there? Knight was way off in the distance. I wonder if there was some sort of pit stop. No, Sean Mulholland just kept... I think Casey Knight made a mistake of some sorts, actually. Knight is now behind Sean Mulholland. Let's take a look at the replay heading into Sunset Bend. And was there a little bit of oversteer for her? Whoa. Snap oversteer, saves it from the overcorrection, but ends up spinning. No damage except for that move. All that work gone in an instant.
Yeah, kept it out of the wall, but once again, a driver getting caught out by the curbs, not the curbs, getting caught up through the bumps, a different kind of bump, heading off through the final corner. Knight, very unfortunate. They're just looping it through a section where these cars are at maximum weight jacking, maximum velocity. Keith Stein has come down pit lane and picking up a black flag as well. I gotta wonder if that's for some sort of pit lane infraction. That's gonna sting regardless for the number 84 car. Have to come back down pit lane, maybe even picked up a second penalty with crossing the double white line. So let's see what happened to Stein. We'll say these cars do have a pit lane speed limiter, so not a worry there. And
just getting down to that speed.
And yeah, look pretty good. I will say, well, maybe potentially sped up right at the end.
Yeah, I think it was a very slight speed up. It was probably a very fractional kind of going over that speed limit. And Brock Morris right now trying to hold on to 6th position, went way wide. Some contact right there between the 6th and 7th place driver. Del Elva is not making this easy on Brock Morris, trying to make the move on the outside. How about a switch back into turn 2, into turn 3? I don't think he's gonna make the move here. I think it's too risky, but we know that Del Elva loves that move down into that turn 7 chicane. You think it's coming? I think so.
Del Elva has been very aggressive on the brakes, very aggressive in these heavy braking zones, getting move after move after move done in that number 33 car. Yeah, not able to get it done into turn number 7, but still a lot of opportunities left to go in this race. Certainly time running lower than it did not too long ago, but we still have a decent amount of this race left to go. A tick over 9 minutes left on the clock in this opening race of the season. If you are enjoying the action, do what the graphic did and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. There we go, so you never miss out on any of the racing action. See, I'm so used. Last couple of shows I've done here on SMB, I've been producing them, so I was usually able to control when that graphic popped up. So now I basically have to guess what popped. It's like whack-a-mole.
You know, I don't think I've ever said. Well, you could probably find a video on my YouTube account from like 15 years ago where I might have said it, but I don't think I've ever said like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell until right then. Oh, Joe Nagy with a lazy spin, slide, not spin. Kept that car going facing forward, actually, maybe at a 45, 60-degree angle. Was probably more like it from the apex. Aaron Sunday still back in 9th. I'll tell you what, Sunday has been in the middle of a firestorm of competition all race long, still up 10 spots, trying to hold on to not being just 9 spots ahead of where he started this race. But Sean Mulholland in that 10th position really wants 9th right now.
Yeah, you can see the battling going on between these three. Jacob, Sunday, and Mulholland all involved in their own little squabble for the final few spots inside of the top 10. They've shaken off any other challengers like a bad case of the fleas as Keith Stein with that black flag has now come down pit lane. He slid a little bit farther in the back. Didn't want to touch series app, and Bobby Childs made a pit stop not too long ago, so that's the reason why he's dropped outside of the top 10. Is now running down in P18. As we look at this battle running on board of Sunday and looking at the front end of the car of Mulholland from the back of Sunday, do want to say that there is a battle potentially going to flare up for 4th at the moment. It's a battle involving your at one point podium runner and still top running competitor in the AM class of Chester Guidry, running in front of Ryan Cobb. So that's a battle for P4 as it stands presently. The number 1 car and the 51 car currently involved in their own little battle right now. They've been close for quite some time and running effectively in no man's land with a 3.5-second gap between Guidry and Schwankler. That's the gap between P3 and P4. And then you have to go 8 seconds back from the back of Ryan Cobb to find Brock Morris running a P6. It's looking Cobb going for the move down into turn number 16 onto the Ullman straightaway. Now I think Cobb may have had to sacrifice his run a little bit heading out of there. He's not going to have to worry about the slipstream effect down the Ullman straightaway off in a sunset bend. Will Cobb go for the move? Will he think better center of it. Down on the brakes, they're gonna go. Guidry still being the one punching that hole in the air. Cobb gonna wait a little bit, try and maximize that exit. You can see him getting oh so close to that inside grass. Now tucked in the slipstream of the one car right in front. He's gonna try and get this move done, maybe off into turn number 1. He pulls down to the inside. The track widens out on entry. He's gonna be stuck though on that inside line. Gonna have to back out of it with a flash of the wipers as well.
Wipers, yeah, you got to use everything you've got for that maximum speed. But I'll tell you right there, I'm surprised the door wasn't shut just ahead going into turn 1. It was left open throughout the entirety of that 100 degree turn, I should say. It's more like a 100 degree turn, as we're now watching a battle here again for P6. Del Elva trying to take 6th away, but Brock Morris again being a little bit of a thorn into his side. Del Elva, we have always seen later on the brakes into this chicane. They're still side by side on the exit. It's going to be a fun run down into 8, 9, and then 10. Who's going to be the last of the late breakers here?
Yeah, and here they go down into Cunningham of 10. Who's going to win out in this battle? You got the 05 car there of Morris on the inside of the 33. He's going to have to dive out of it. Yeah, contact being made through 10 as they head their way off through 11. That long, seemingly never-ending left-hander. Oh, here comes a dive from Del Elva off into turn number 13. Don't see a driver go for a move like that except for Zach Del Elva. He went for the move earlier on at Aaron Sunday. Didn't work out this time on that 05 car right in front of Brock Morris. But this number 33 car has been the standout star thus far in this race. Got off to a rough start after some drama really out of his hands at the start, as here he goes down the inside into Lamont of 16. They're so close to making contact as they had their way on the back straightaway. Gonna be a drag race down to Sunset Bend.
These two drivers are on a bit of an island. 9 seconds in front to the driver in 5th. 9 seconds behind the driver in 8th. Del Elva wants to take 6th away. Dives deep late on the brakes through Sunset Bend. Shuts the door on Brock Morris, who is way back there as we go down this start-finish straight. Gonna have to make a little bit more work, a little bit more effort here for Brock Morris to try and take that spot back. Just a few minutes, a couple laps to go before we see that checkered flag. I'd say probably 2 and a lot of change to go.
Yeah, so certainly getting to the end of this race, but still a decent amount of time left for these competitors to throw haymakers at each other. Got 3 battles of note out there on the racetrack, and this battle with the 05 and the 33 is certainly one of them. As look at this last second dive there down into turn number 16. Del Elva looking to try and find any way in the book to get past that 05 of Brock Morris. May have gotten that move done if there's just a bit more real estate on a corner exit, but resulted in this drag race heading down the backstretch off into Sunset Bend, and then another battle of the breakers, and there's a 33 getting that move done finally. It took him a little bit, but he still got that move done to jump his way up into 6th. Still very close to each other, and should be known that last time by, Brock Morris was a little bit slower on his laps, but overall it's still it really shows how hard those two racers were battling, because while everybody else was firmly in the 1-minute 50s, high 150s, mind you, about 158, 157, those two were both in the 2-minute bracket. Zach Del Elva at a 2-minute 0.5, and Brock Morris at a 2:01.5. So shows you how hard those two were battling, considering they were quite a significant amount slower than everybody else.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, these two were putting on a show. They were giving us a lot of entertainment, and I don't think this is over. They only have to focus on each other right here, and I mean, Brock Morris has not let Zach Del Elva get away from him. Not as good of an exit as Morris would have wanted, but Del Elva perfected Sunset Bend there. I'd say right now we're looking at 2 laps or so to go. Here's another thing to remember, and this is going to be more of a factor in next race. We started with the track temperature at around 73 degrees. In the sim, race 1 starts at 8:45 a.m. As that sun continues to heat the surface of this racetrack, it's going to get hotter, it's going to get slicker, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to control these race cars, and look at that temperature right there. I mean, it is not 140 degrees and counting on the track temperature. Someone's thermometer is wrong. That's all I'm saying.
I remember many moons ago. I think it was the pressure graphic was saying that the like pressure around the place was somewhere like a disgusting amount of psi. Yeah, that was a compass. Yeah,
I'm so stupid.
I didn't want to say it. But you know, we all have our moments. It's okay. It happens to the best of us. I remember doing a broadcast a couple of years ago. I kept calling the guy that I was working with Dutch, which was fine, apart from the fact that the guy's name was Frank. So it happens to the best of us. Mike Dam holds on to the race lead right now. 6.5 seconds is a gap to himself and Michelle Squires on track for a dominating first win of this season. Mike Dam, very talented racer in the XMS world, has done quite all right in the other Ricmotech World Challenge and the other XMS series, and putting in a pretty darn good performance right now in that number 93 machine. Has some lap traffic to worry about a little bit farther up the road, but as long as he can keep it clean for this white flag lap, which we are now on, Mike Dam got to be on track for an opening win to get this season underway.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really talked much about Mike Dam, and it's kind of funny, right? Like, we don't talk about the driver that's been dominating because they haven't been in the battle all that much. And Dam has put in a great effort here. 6 seconds up on Michelle Squires, excuse me. And all of this has been of his own accord, right? He was in front of all the chaos that happened at the start of the race. He made sure that he hasn't made a mistake so far, right? He's still got a lot of corners to go before taking that checkered flag. I believe the checkered will fly next time by, as we've hit that time limit right now. But the Canadian driver is putting on quite the show and definitely making his countryman, Joshua Wilkie, a producer, very proud.
Oh God, we're gonna get to the point where Josh is gonna sing "Oh Canada" from the production truck. But
man,
Mike
it's
Dam,
a beautiful anthem, though.
It is a very beautiful anthem. I gotta say, it's not my favorite. I prefer the U.S. one, but I'm definitely biased being an American. But Mike Dam heads his way down to turn number 16 for the last time in this race. It's been a rather calm race for him in the grand scheme of things. This drama has broken out around him. He's been able to pose no stack rhinestone and keep it up at the front ever since the drop of the green flag. And as Mike Dam heads his way down the backstretch off into Sunset Bend for the last time, the driver of the number 93 car gonna look to get this season up and rolling with a win here in race number 1 of the evening at Sebring. There's a checkered flag for Mike Dam. He will be victorious here at Sebring. It's gonna be Michelle Squires coming home about a 5.5 seconds behind to finish in second, with Robert Schwenkler in the 235 car running at your podium in third. And we look a little bit farther behind to see your AM winner at the end of this race. It's going to be Chester Guidry in the number 1 car getting the job done at the end of this race. Ryan Cobb set to round at your top 5. Zach Deleva winning out in that battle with himself and Brock Morris at the line. He finishes in 6th. Morris slotted in 7th. Looking a little bit farther behind, though, to find Sean Mulholland. Oh, it's actually a close finish with Mulholland and Knight, and Knight going to get the edge out at the end of all that. Mulholland at a bad exit heading out of the final turn, and that's a swaparoo right at the end of this race in the silver category. Casey Knight going to walk away with the opening win in the silver class, and let's see how she got it done.
I mean, that almost looks like giving the position back with the way that corner exit went from Mulholland, but obviously I don't think that's what happened. I think Mulholland just lost it rolling through the center of Sunset Bend. You know, that corner is obviously, in my opinion, the most difficult of every single corner here. There's so many different lines you can take, and if you can enter in really shallow, and get a great exit, but you can also get a really bad exit. Just your corner entry doesn't really matter as much as your mid-corner roll. But that's it for the first race of this night.
Yeah, that is it for the first race of this season, the first race of this evening. We still have the second race to look forward to in a couple of moments. I'm just waiting for Bobby Childs to come across the line. He ran into some drama midway through this race and sent him down to the pits. So just waiting for him to come across the line in just a couple of moments' time. But Mike Dam, certainly the standout star in this opening race of the season, as there's Bobby coming across the line in the 17 car, finishing this race in P17. We'll be able to get those race results loaded up for you in just a couple of moments time and let you know what the deal was in the opening round of this season, the opening race of this evening as well. It's been a fantastic evening of racing action for this brand new series here on SMB. And here are your Heat 1 Race 1 results. Mike Dam gets a job done in front of Michelle Squire in P2. Robert Schwankler set to round out your podium in third. It's going to be Chester Guidry finishing this race in fourth. Ryan Cobb in P5. Zach Del Elva finishes this race in P6. Brock Morris in seventh. Jeff Jacobs in P8. Aaron Sunday will finish this race in ninth, with Casey Knight, your silver class winner, rounding out your top 10, Dylan.
Yeah, continue moving down. Sean Mulholland will finish in P11, with Jake Mackey finishing in 12th. Tom Jenkins, Kevin Carlisle, and Isla Spiker in your top 15. Jimbo Pfeiffer, Bobby Childs, we'll hopefully talk to him in a little bit, and Chris Thorman, your top 18. Three more drivers rounded out that 21 car field. Joe Nagy, Mike Mann, and Keith Stein, both Mann and Stein, had major issues. But nonetheless, what a great race we had to start it all off.
Yeah, what a great way to get this brand new series up, rolling, and rocking. And we'll apologize for this. We were going to have a chat with Bobby at the start of this show, but sadly, with us having to go through all the information and get you all prepared for this brand new season of action, we didn't quite have the time to bring him in. But we'll bring him in to have a quick little chat in this warm-up session now. Bobby Childs joining us here in the broadcast booth. Bobby, welcome in here. First off, how was that first race for you here tonight?
Well, it was good and it was bad. I made my way through some confabulation on the opening lap. You know, we got through turn one good, and then we started going through the little snake section, and some people had some problems, and there were parts laying all over the track, and I took advantage of it. And, you know, next thing you know, I'm basically leading AM. So I was happy about that. But then, you know, what was it, about 15 minutes to go, I found myself spinning out of Sunset with a perfect pirouette onto pit road, with the exception of I clipped something wrong and got an unsafe pit entry. So I had a 40-second stop and hold after my brilliant, you know, miss nothing spin into pit road.
See, here at SMB, we would call that a bad old bout of falling anvil. So may need to break out that umbrella to protect yourself from that in this second race. Speaking of, what a way to get this season up and rolling here at Sebring. Dylan and I have been talking a lot already in this show about this track and how fun it is. It's an old school sports car track, and in these new school sports cars, it just puts on a heck of a lot of good racing.
Well, yeah, and in the driver chat, it was immediately a lot of good response. Guys all keying up, saying how much they enjoyed racing. This is I think it's a really great format. We've done something similar at the league before. We wanted to do kind of a Lamborghini Super Trofeo, but iRacing didn't have the car. So we used the Lamborghini as a spec series, and that was kind of the test bed for this. And then when iRacing finally gave us a spec car by the way of the Ferrari Challenge, I mean, it was immediately, oh yeah, let's break those IROC paint jobs back out. You know, let's put together a series where our drivers don't have to worry about cement delivery. They don't have to worry about putting together a setup. We're just going to go out here in these cars. And these are fantastic cars to race like this. They've got so much power and so much downforce, but they basically have the tires, chassis, and electronic aids of a GR86. So it's an amazing, and especially at Sebring, what an amazing combo.
Yeah, an absolutely awesome car. I got the opportunity to drive this car a little bit in the past week to get my feel in before doing this broadcast. I gotta say, it was an absolute hoot. I mean, I suck in a sports car, but even I was having a heck of a lot of fun, so I'm sure it's gonna be a great season of action, some awesome tracks to look forward to, and one awesome series to be a part of. I think I came into the XMS world right after the old Lamborghini series, but I'm happy to be here in the booth for these FROC races. Is going to be, actually no, it's not FROC, it's FROC. I saw that discussion.
Just like IROC. Yep, it's FROC.
I committed the cardinal sin right at the right time for the interview.
This is not a little girl's fancy dress. This is a professional racing series, okay, guys?
I love you, Bobby. Ever since I got out of race control, I've missed you, Bobby. It's great to have you here in the booth.
Hey,
Awesome to
and
be
we're
a part
glad
of
to
this.
have you guys. We really are. We hope you enjoy it. We hope your viewers enjoy it. Anyone who loves it, we're still recruiting now. XMSracing.com. You'll see the FROC ad right on the main page. Come join our Discord. Get to know us. Get to see what XMS Racing's all about. And guys, I got to go get back in my car and start from way back because I spun out.
Well, we're going to keep an eye on you, cutting your way through the field like a hot knife through butter, Bobby. Thank you for joining us in the booth, and good luck in this second race.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. And that right there was Bobby Child, series admin here in the XMS FROC series. And now we have got a starting grid to take a look at here for the second race of the night. Invert of the top half of the field. So it's going to look a little bit different from that race. Flip it around. Flip it from one side to the other. Nick Fleck, Blarney Quando Fleur, and Casey Knight going to start this race from the pole position. Aaron Sunday going to join Casey on that front row. Jeff Jacobs will start this race in third alongside Brock Morris in fourth. It'll be Zach Del Elva starting this race in P5. Ryan Cobb going to start in sixth. It's going to be our P7 starter and our AM winner from the first race. That is going to be Chester Guidry starting this race in P7. Rob Schwenkler in eighth. Michelle Squirick in ninth, with Mike Dam rounding out your top 10.
Continuing down the leaderboard, Sean Mulholland, where Sean finished, was P11. Guess what? He's going to be starting in 11th. Everyone who finished in these 11th and 12th place spots are going to be starting there. Jake Mackey in 12th and all the way back. Tom Jenkins, Kevin Carlisle, Spiker, Jimbo Pfeiffer, Bobby Childs, we were just talking to him, Chris Thorman, Joe Nagy, Mike Mann, Keith Stein. From 11th on down to 21st. Where they finished is where they are starting. No pole position is being given in terms of bonus points to Casey Knight, but she's got the best possible opportunity to win this 30-minute plus affair from starting in P1.
Yeah, just has to keep it clean and keep it smooth. We'll have to keep an eye on Casey to see how she's going to do in this race that lies ahead. I'm curious, though, Josh, if we can maybe get the small little driver info graphic up for our P6 starter in this race, Mr. Ryan Cobb, because I promised this in the early stages of the broadcast. I don't think we really touched on it. I'm not sure what the bun combination will have to be to get the team name up and rolling from him, because you can tell he is from the United States. I'm not sure if it will potentially show the team name graphic, but I touched on this a little bit earlier on in the show. Ryan and I used to do race control together for the XMS Road series on Monday nights that these fine folks organize. And what Ryan brought into my vernacular was coming to get into the start zone for one of these races, the term pack up and pair up. So Ryan has made that his team name. It's Pack Up and Pair Up Performance, which if you go by the initials is Poo Poo Performance. So Ryan looking to do well in that Poo Poo car, not looking to have a Poo Poo performance in this race here, but Ryan going to be starting this race in P6. Dylan, we saw the drama in the early stages of that first race, and now I got to wonder what the second race has in store.
You were so excited to say that team name. So excited.
I have been less excited like seeing friends and family.
Fair enough. Looking at Jeff Jacobs in the bottom left, starting on that second row. In third position, I cannot wait to get this one underway. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be a little bit of a different story with who is starting up front. I'm interested to see if Mike Dam is going to be able to make that drive back up. You know, he was obviously the fastest driver of the 21-car field when it came to just lap times in clean air. But he's got chaos to worry about, dirty air to worry about. Will there be that chaos again going into turn 3? I don't know. My money is on turn 1 chaos.
Ooh, That is a good bet. I have a feeling the hairpin may be a little bit tough. We didn't talk about the hairpin too much. That saw some good overtakes from that man, Zach Deleva, in the number 33 car. But let's see how it'll shake out here in race number 2. An invert of the top half of the field, the same 30-minute long race length. These racers have some fun to look forward to in the second race of tonight here on SMB for the opening race of the Ferrari Road Oval Challenge here, as we are back to green flag racing. The green flag is at the drivers on their way, and Casey Knight getting off to a flyer of a start. Gonna lead him comfortably down to turn number 1. Look at those racers already sliding off the track is Knight. Cobb gonna follow in suit as well. Morris, lots of racers ending off in the wall, off the track, and missing some vital body parts on their car, maybe not on their body themselves. But turn 1 drama as you expected there, Dylan. I'll hand you your $5 soon.
Thank you. I was waiting for that mention. Yeah, I mean, you all of a sudden have these drivers who did not race at the front of the field, or at least way up at the front of the field until the start of this race. They're going to be a little bit more aggressive. They're coming off a little bit of a calm down as we head into the turn 7 hairpin and chicane, I should say. Oh no, a little bit of a mess right there. I think I couldn't quite tell who was spinning, but yes, it's Chris Thorman, who's way in the back. Casey Knight actually also having problems. So many drivers that were bound to have good races, all of a sudden, nowhere to be found. But Jeff Jacobs, who, of course, got you involved, Ron, in broadcasting, in sim racing broadcasting, is leading the way. That SCCA Foundation 38 machine in front of Guydry, but not for long, as Guydry wants that lead and takes that lead with authority.
Yeah, and Jeff dropping down like a stone thrown into a pond, found himself in P4 at the moment. Not sure if he had a slowdown coming out of the turn or what the deal was, as he headed his way off into turn 14. A really rough run for Jeff, but now Guydry able to jump up to the front. We'll take a look at the drama that went on there. Not sure what the deal was with Jeff. You could see him slow there on the inside, and yeah, I think he had to keep a tight line just to make sure there wasn't contact as they headed their way off through Bishop. Clean racing from Jeff, but not going to help out his race one bit. He's now at the midst of a hornet's nest with himself, Aaron Sunday, Specker, and Mulholland, all involved in a battle. Lots of racers covered by just about nothing all throughout this field, following Mike Mann. P14 runners would jump up to Bobby. He's already made up 5 spots on that first lap already, and he's now duking it out with the start from race number 1, Zach Del Elva, who yet again has not had a good start to one of these races.
Yeah, just goodness me. He's got a whole bunch of cars just in front, though, Bobby Childs does, as we were just honing in on him. And now a familiar face is in P2, a familiar spot. And Michelle Squirek is trying to get the win in this race. And what an admirable job she has done from going from 9th to 2nd in just about 1 lap's time, already chasing the leader of this race. And looking down the rest of the leaderboard, just trying to see exactly where everybody is as we get this replay of the start right here.
The calm before the storm.
Yeah, the mistake, at least when the pace car was leading the field on its way. We'll get to there in a moment, but man, it was going to be the calm before the storm, and before the mistake that Casey Knight made and multiple other drivers made. Let's take a look now.
Yeah, I went from the calm before the storm to the storm before the calm. I'm not sure if that makes any sense at all, but it did in my head. As you can see that synchronized spinning in contact with the wall. Casey Knight, Ryan Cobb going off, and you can just see the rear bumper of that car popping off like a misshapen Lego. Big drama down into turn number 1. That's the thing. Even though it is a rolling start. Oh man, look at that evasive action. Fantastic stuff from Brock Morris to avoid and dodge the falling anvils down into 1. He holds on to it, and that may help him out quite a lot in this race, even though he had to drop the anchors big time to avoid contact. He may be down P15, but at least he's got a clean race car.
Yeah, a really, really solid job right there from Morris. Loses all those positions. And Schwenkler, wow, what avoidance right there. Picked up a ton of spots right now, running in a podium position, P3, with an outside chance of potentially even winning this race if he's able to get by both Michelle Squirick and Guidry in that P1 spot. Isla Spiker right there takes a little peek down the inside. The door was relatively open. I'm surprised there wasn't more of an aggressive, decisive move right there by the driver of the 86 Ferrari.
Well,
I don't know why I put that enunciation. Ferrari. Ferrari.
See, I would try and do that because I'm still in the city of Philadelphia. I'm sure somebody from South Philly would come and turn my face into a nice bolognese sauce. That's basically what that person would do. So Isla Specker still holding on to that P6 spot in that Ferrari. I'll break out the normal enunciation from my end for that, and still running strong at the moment, involved in some battles. There are, I think, maybe a handful of drivers in the entirety of this race who aren't involved in a battle, and I think I can't even say it's a handful. I think it's only two. I think it's Thorman and Ryan Cobb who have rejoined this race, but even them, despite being one lap down, they're still uncovered by less than 2 seconds. As here we go, side-by-side racing with Michelle Squirick. Look at that. Guidry trying to get that move done. Robert Schwenkler, ever the opportunist, going to get that move done down into turn number 17. Look at them slam the bumps as they head their way off through there. Could have worked out well for Chester Guidry, but he is now down in third. Still a good spot, up 4 spots from where he started in this race, but maybe hoping that series of events went a little bit better for him as he tried to take the race lead.
Yeah, I was going to, way off track on the exit of one, but it's not really going to take that much effect. Was Squirick right there. I mean, listen, if you can keep that Ferrari planted, it's not that much farther until you get to turn 3 and off of that turn 1. Let's take a look and ride on board with Michelle and her vehicle way up. I mean, just throttled up and almost didn't turn.
Yeah, hit those bumps. I gotta say, we'll get more acclimatized to these race cars as the season comes along, but I can imagine with the massive, chunky front splitter on the front end of these race cars, slamming into those bumps is not going to help you out a lot when it comes to the grip, especially down into turn number 1, which I would say turn 1 of the final turn number 17, Sunset Bend, probably the quickest corners around this racetrack where the aero means a lot, and it also feels like you're driving on a sinking swamp. So 2 things that you're having to do off through there that the car really wouldn't. We'll have to see how it all shake out throughout the rest of this race. We already have a good idea based off that first race of the evening, and so a lot of battling to talk about up and down this field. Here's one of them. It's Mike Mann battling with Brock Morris and Keith Stein. Look at Stein nearly having to drive off the track to avoid making contact with Mann.
Yeah, and we're going to take a little replay right here of Brock Morris. And, oh, look at this. It's easy pickings, right? Or at least it should be right here on Jake Mackey, I believe it is. Or no, Mike Mann. Oh, and yes, it is, but almost some contact right behind. With that, I think that was Keith Stein. We were just watching on board, of course, or watching an angle of. But Stein dealing with the bumps. That, gosh, every time we look at a shot of those cars kind of at surface level going around Sunset Bend, it always looks like it shouldn't be allowed to, like, physics should not work like that.
Oh, as I thought I was just going to see an accident there as we jumped on board with the onboard of Kevin Carlisle in the number 72 car, running right behind that 33 machine of Zach Deleva. We saw him drop down big time on the first lap of this race. He's still looking to gain some ground as he's down 4 spots from where he started in this race. You compare that to some of the hard chargers that we've had up to this point now. Michelle Squire being up 8 spots since the drop of the green flag. Rob Schwenkler up 6. Ilis Specker 10 spots gained ever since the drop of the green flag. And look at Bobby, hasn't been able to gain a spot ever since the end of lap 1, but that lap 1 was very, Very, very efficient from him. He gained 5 spots on that first lap alone, so Bobby put in a pretty good performance in the opening stages of this race.
That headshot always makes me laugh.
Yeah, well, funnily enough, I'm pretty sure that's the photo that Bobby has on the XMS website.
I love it. I love it. That's just a majestic beard, majestic flow. And this could be a majestic move as Jake Mackey is going side by side with none other than Zach Del Elva, who has been so aggressive tonight.
Oh yeah, super, super aggressive. He's been cutting shapes like it's nobody's business. It's been fantastic to see what he's been doing. It's very entertaining from our perspective here in the broadcast booth. I can imagine some of these competitors are probably being like, you know what? Don't go for a massive lunge like that. I would quite like to be able to get through this race without having a minor heart attack, as we look at Mike Dam and Jake Mackey battling for 10th, and it is still close between those two competitors off into one. One of them nearly goes off the track. That's going to be a drag race down into turn number 3. Dam trying to gain some spots, won that first race in rather comfortable fashion, but now that he finds himself in the midst of a titanic battle and a massive line of cars, which basically stretches from Isla Specker in P4 all the way down to Mackey running in 11th. He has some opportunity to break his way up into the top 5 if he can leapfrog in front of all of these races. Already gone 1 moved on a Mackey, but it's a long road ahead. But we do have a long amount of racing action left with only 11 minutes on the clock in this 30-minute long race.
Yeah, that's crazy. I know we're very close to that halfway point of this second race, but I'll tell you what, I haven't really looked at the clock all that much because this racing has been so enthralling. It's been entertaining. Mulholland opens the door up for Zach Del Elva, and you never open the door up for Zach Del Elva going into the tower turn. That's exactly what we saw right there, and another spot gained. Guess who's going to chase now? Aaron Sunday. And we talked about the Aaron Sunday versus Zach Del Elva battle in race 1. It was the first time we really saw Del Elva show that aggression that is at the forefront of his attacking prowess. We're going to get a replay right here of that Del Elva move. And we have seen this from him so often tonight.
Yeah, the turn 13 special tower bend. That corner is about as brutal as you could have in my entire sim racing career, just entire career driving virtual cars on virtual tracks, even stretching back to as a kid driving a Forza Motorsport 4. I have never been able to get that corner fully nailed down. It is so tough. It's flat yet banked at the same time. It's bumpy yet smooth at the same time. As that right there was Ryan Cobb stopped on the outside of the racetrack heading off through turn number 1. I think he may have had a similar slide to what he had at the start of this race. That turn 1 proving to be a pain in the butt for many a racer.
Oh, yeah. Good job at just holding those brakes, though, and that's why turn 1 has that big runoff area, right? You have the ability to make a mistake right there, and as long as you don't, lose it in a more catastrophic way, you've got the opportunity to save your race car and stay alive for another lap, another day of racing action. So Kevin Carlisle right now, 9th place in the middle of this California king-size bed bit of action. And these drivers are going at it right here, just around a top 10 position. And this is where most of the action has been tonight, but I wouldn't take your eyes off of the lead of this race because it's gotten very, very close between Skyrek and Schwenkler, who is still trying to get that race lead. I mean, we were talking about Schwenkler earlier, right? That very nice avoidance at the drop of the green flag. Now has the opportunity to potentially pass Skyrek, as there's a little bit of that, that snaking down this Ullman straight. Peek down the inside. Man, Ron, this is fun.
Yeah, this is super, super fun and super tense for these competitors as well, because you can see them with a hop, skip, and a jump over the bumps through that final corner. Squire immediately diving down close to that pit wall to break the drift from Schwenkler. That 235 car of Schwenkler still running in the coattails of the 75 car right in front. That gap still rather close between those two competitors. You can just hear it in the engine notes. These cars slamming every single bump around this racetrack, which, let's face it, the amount of bumps around here, it's like trying to find straw in a haystack. There are so many of them.
Listen to that car shift. Man, that's such a gnarly V6 sound as Schwenkler a little bit deeper on the brakes, turns to the right a little bit later than Squirek there. That kind of hurt his drive on the exit of that turn 7 chicane. As we move towards Cunningham Corner, closer still. Slower mid-corner, though, again going to hurt that drive. It feels like, you know, this is kind of an obvious thing, right? If you're faster, if you're later on the brakes on a corner entry, you might roll into the center a little bit better, but have worse drive off. Nonetheless, it still feels like there's something here that Schwenkler can put together to put more of a challenge through these corners in the second sector especially.
Yeah, so we'll have to see where exactly these two are going to differ, figure out their strengths and weaknesses, their quirks and features, as I think Bobby may have had a bit of drama down into the hairpin. I talked about it right before the start of this race. A good overtaking opportunity, but a point where drama can occur, as you can see him drawing alongside man on corner exit, nearly making contact. That could have been some dangerous stuff as they head their way now through 8 and 9 of Fangio. That could have ended in disaster once again. Bobby gonna get that move done to jump his way up into that spot. Now man involved in the battle with himself and Stein right behind in the midst of all of that as well. Bobby now down in P14, so unfortunate for Bobby. I may have spoken too soon about his good start in this race. I think there may have been a falling anvil that came down on Bobby not too long ago.
Oh,
and there
no.
it is.
Yeah.
Whoa! I think that was Man and Stein with a slide right behind.
That's an unfortunate little bit of action right there for Bobby Childs, as now we're going to watch a replay of Ryan Cobb going through turn 1. Way too much of an overload. Didn't look comfortable on corner entry at all. And obviously, not even to the midpoint of that apex. He took a little bit of a slide and a spin. This gap has not really changed between Squirek and Schwenkler. Another replay here, Keith Stein.
Yeah, so that moment from Cobb a few moments ago, very similar looking car to Stein, but there was a drama with himself and man, that was Keith Stein. And man, yeah, synchronized spinning, sympathy spin. I think Stein got to the back of man and really kick-started that drama in the first place. So that was 3 cars spinning off into the same turn in the span of about 3 seconds. So clearly the we talked about it a few moments ago. The challenges of the final turn, having to go through at pretty much terminal velocity with the bumps through turn 1 and turn 17. And where have we seen synchronized spins thus far tonight? It's turn 1 and turn 17.
I mean, are you shocked? Those are I would say, 2 of the most, if not the most iconic turns on this racetrack, right? Oh man, you don't know beauty until you see the sunset at Sunset Bend. And see the cars going through it, the glare of that Floridian sun on this very, very sea-level-esque racetrack. No! That's from P3! Guidry!
Whoa! Oh!
My goodness!
Boy,
still on the racing line!
3 close calls as that was Guidry trying to get that car spun back around in the right direction. First it was Specker that came in with a close call. Then it was Zach Del Eva who came in with a close call. And then Kevin Carlisle came in with a close call as well. We're going to take a look at that. We need to see it from the perspective of the 1 and the 33, because the 1 was the car that spun. The 33 was the one that probably saw the face of Christ on a gummy bear with that car spun and stopped. And there you can see that specker. And oh, there was Dale Eva having to avoid that car. It wasn't even close from Mike Dam, as there you can see that car all types of squirrely trying to rejoin the racetrack. Very tough moment for your AM leader, who still holds on to the AM lead. However, that big cushion that he had not too long ago, that's gone. It's now himself, then Mackey behind, and then you've got your P2 runner in the AM category, Aaron Sunday, and after that, he's gonna have to worry about regaining that AM lead instead of just preserving it.
I'm still laughing about it, dude. You're so good. Oh my gosh, at these funny, references. You've got the sickest references, man. Everybody knows it.
See, I'm trying to think of what Christ on a gummy bear would be a reference to. Did I just randomly airdrop like a Robot Chicken reference here?
No, I genuinely have no idea what you're referring to, but I don't
either.
I really like the conglomeration of words that you put forth in your efforts tonight. Around 10 minutes left in this race, and we're probably looking at 5 laps to go, somewhere in that range, potentially 6 laps. So that's actually something to think about here. These lap times are 1:58, 1:59. We crossed the stripe at almost exactly 20 minutes. That might be 6 laps. Like, we might get a extra lap by just a brief couple seconds. So that's going to be pretty close. And that, does that play into your mind at all if you're either Schwenkler or Skyrek?
Yeah, that's a very good point that you raised there, Dylan, in reference to whether or not these racers know exactly when this race is going to end. I gotta wonder if fuel may be a worry in these racers' heads as well. Fixed setups, so I'm not sure if that would be a point of concern. Of course, no pit stops here in this series, at least no scheduled ones, so that may not be a worry, as that Chef Jacobs and Guidry, they're gonna be battling now for this spot, as Jacobs trying to hold on as desperately as he can for P7, but Chester Guidry on that inside line, they get oh so close to contact. Jacobs nearly gets scooped up off the track, and he's now gonna have to worry about holding on to any spot that he can, as Mulholland now gonna be all around the back of him, getting a move done on Jacobs there a few moments ago as Aaron Sunday. So now the fight is very much so on for that AM lead, as that's Guidry with a moment and a half. Turn number 14 nearly collected Jake Mackey in the midst of all that. Mackey gonna get that move done, commanding stuff around the outside, but now Chester Guidry, for the first time really tonight, feeling some pressure in that battle for the AM lead.
Man, this is such a battle going on in the mid-pack here. It is for top 10 positions. And, I mean, there's really no rest. Each corner, you're either on the attack, on the defense, or maybe a little bit of both each way through. And Jeff Jacobs, a little bit of separation from he and Aaron Sunday in P9. I mean, what's so interesting here is that these drivers, all the way from 7th on back to, let's say, 12th. This is a 7th to 12th battle right here. And once you go past 10th place in the Pro Championship here, there's bigger gaps, or I should say smaller gaps that form, I believe.
Holy cow! That was Jeff Jacobs and Sean Mulholland nearly crashing down to turn number 3. I may need to take a look at a replay of that. I didn't necessarily register what was necessarily happening there until I saw those two nearly come to blows. Let's see that. It was Jacobs and Mulholland battling hard down into the turn. You can see a car a little bit slow there as Mulholland left just about a car width there, as I think Jacobs was either looking to get a move done around the outside to 3, or he just kind of missed his braking zone a little bit, went a bit too deep down into the turn, and had to take evasive maneuvers to avoid making contact. Either way, a code brown moment for both cars involved.
That was intense. That was a little bit scary too. I mean, once you make one subtle mistake here, it's an accordion effect, right? Every driver in behind in a battle this close between all these cars start to get affected. Their lines get affected. Their rhythm gets impacted as well. And that's kind of an underrated thing here. This track is a very rhythm-based track, especially once you get into these long sweeping sections, Sector 3 especially. You don't have that much rest. Obviously, you've got some rest here on the Ullman Straight, but it's also, you know, you get into your head a little bit. Same with that start-finish straight here, because it's all about how you take Sunset Bend and Turn 1. And especially with Sunset Bend, you're almost thinking about it the entire time. You know, where's my braking point going to be? What line am I going to take? There's so many different lines that you can take depending on where you want to get the most speed. Do you want it mid-corner? Do you want it on corner entry? Do you want it on the exit to try and set yourself up for a move or a defense down into Turn 1? So many different ways. And a little bit wide goes Aaron Sunday. Open the door for Sean Mulholland down here into 3.
Look at Sunday trying to hold on to that spot. It's 2 reasons why he wants to hold on to that. This is the best shot that anybody in that AM category has had to take the AM lead from Chester Guidry. And even though the gap has ballooned out a little bit, looking at about 2.3 seconds, a gap between Chester Guidry and that number 1 car, holding on to P7. Back to Aaron Sunday, your P2 runner in the AM category, currently slotted in 9th overall. Have that car of Jake Mackey in the midst of that battling as well. But Sunday trying to hold on to that P9 spot. Again, folks, this series scores, we believe, based off overall finishing position, not off class position. So these racers, it's still gonna matter exactly the same way to any racer, regardless of what class they're in, based on whatever spot they finish in out there on the racetrack. Aaron Sunday looking to hold on to that P9 result and maybe even improve on it. But you've got that car of Mulholland. You've got the car. Oh no, Mulholland spins coming out of turn 13, and he's going to impact the wall.
Oh man, a little bit of a kiss onto that barrier there on the inside, and that is an unfortunate moment for the driver fighting within the top 10. That is, I mean, that is such a big detriment to his efforts tonight. You know, had a solid race 1, had a really solid race 2 going, but he's only going to remember this moment here.
As you can see, again, a driver hitting the curb on the outside. These cars may have traction control, may have ABS, but they have got a heck of a lot of torque for the V6 engines underneath that bonnet. And yeah, it hit the throttle. You get a little bit of screwing up with the weight transfer. Again, this track also one of the first ones on the iRacing platform that had 3D curbs put in. And we saw here on SMB just this past weekend with the Formula Ford and Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warrior Series running at Alton Park, one of the latest tracks to have 3D curbs put in, how badly the racers were struggling trying to put the power down or even just come out of the turns, period, with the way those curbs were. I'm not sure if iRacing went out and just put olive oil on the curbs or what, but clearly these racers having their struggles.
Yes, very good. You got to go for that extra virgin olive oil and not, I'm not a really big vegetable oil kind of guy.
Avocado oil, maybe.
Okay. I've never tried that. I don't intend on ever trying that.
It's actually good for sautéing things. So welcome everybody into the kitchen corner here on this broadcast tonight.
Man, I haven't even eaten dinner yet. And unlike Mr. Wilkie, our producer, I'm in the Eastern time zone.
And I am as well. So I gotta say, we're coming up to 10 at night, so I do not envy your eating. I can't really judge. I think yesterday all I had to eat throughout the entirety of the day was a ham and cheese sandwich, so I can't judge.
Brother, gotta eat. You know who else is trying to eat some laps here, eat some corners? Zach Del Elva, because all of a sudden, up to a podium position. This feels like a good reward for his efforts tonight.
Yeah, honestly, a P3 after the amount of drama that he's had up to this point. To steal a saying from my dad, he's been up and down the field like Otis Elevator. That number 33 car has been in a wild situation more often than not, whether it be going for some dives and sends that nobody would think would be possible. As Jeff Jacobs, he's had some drama all through the final corner. That car is crabbing around, as I thought he was about to hit the wall there, but his car's crabbing around. You can see the wheel turned off about 90 degrees to the left. There's the steering wheel. You don't need to be an engineer, don't need to have an engineering degree to know that that is not the way a race car should drive down a straight line pit lane. So let's see how Jeff picked up that damage in the first place.
Oh man, Jeff Jacobs, what a good start to this race, and that rear wing and rear bumper has been obliterated. Luckily for him, oh, I'm just taking a little adventure down the grass right there. Luckily for him, he's right at that pit lane entry point. So lots of harm done, but it could have been even worse from where, you know, he is right now in 15th. But Michelle Squirek, she has stretched her legs a little bit to 6/10 in front of Schwenkler. So I don't know, man. Where are we gonna see this lap counter kind of be? I think, yeah, we're gonna get a 6th lap here.
Yeah, that we are with 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20 seconds left on the clock for Michelle Squire heading around the final corner. Unless we pull off a Rolex 24 from a couple of years ago and throw that checkered flag early, Michelle Squire going to come across the line with the white flag in the air. One more lap of racing action here at Sebring. It's a 2-horse race between Michelle Squire and Robert Schwenkler. Up at the front, half a second separate them, and they have 3.5 miles to try and get it all sorted. They're running in no man's land. You've got a lap car a little bit farther up the road, not going to play a factor unless that lap car runs into some drama right at the end of this race. You look a little bit farther behind Zach Deleva. He's happy about that P3 spot. I don't think he'd be able to gain about 7 seconds on this final lap alone, unless he just so happened to sneak some nitrous and some rocket engines onto that car. Looks like it's just going to be Squire and Schwenkler battling for the race lead as they head their way through 7, the hairpin for the final time.
Yeah, we'll see if this extra lap does any harm or any good to these two drivers, because so far, around 1,500 have been cut out of that advantage for Squirek, and now it's all about the rhythm. It's all about making these moments count. Good turn in, good turn out. A little peek down the inside right there, and I'll tell you what, Schwenkler is closer, I feel like, but how risky is he going to be on a move down the inside at any of these corners? I mean, it's going to have to come down to Sunset, right?
Yeah, it's going to have to be a dive off into the final corner, but based off the amount of drama we've seen off into that turn thus far here tonight, would that be the advisable spot to go for a move? It's the only spot that Schwenkler has left as they head their way onto the Ullman straightaway for the final time. Look at Michelle Squire diving down, weaving from side of the track to the other side of the track, back and forth, trying to break that drift. I don't think it's strong enough to bring Schwenkler back into this fight as they head their way down into Sunset Bend, turn number 17. At the end of this race, Michelle Squire in that number 75 car going to come onto that start-finish straightaway to get her first win here in the Ferrari Road Oval Challenge here in 2025. There's a checkered flag for Squire. She is victorious in the second race here at Sebring. Rob Schwenkler going to walk away with a double podium as well. P3 in the first race, P2 in the second. Zach Deleva will finish this race in third. Isla Speckler will be classed in fourth. Your race one winner of Mike Dam will finish in P5. Chester Guidry, even after some drama during this race, finishes in 7th. Jake Mackey, according to our graphics, is going to be your winner in the silver category. There's a checkered flag for him. He finishes this race in P8. Brock Morris and Aaron Sunday round out your top 10. But Dylan, what a night of racing action here at Sebring. That was a hoot.
It was electric. These machines and the drivers put on such a great show. You know, I coming into this season, talking about, you know, we're racing a bunch of road courses and ovals on a Ferrari 296 schedule. A lot of it comes down to the abilities of the drivers, the series, everybody involved in it. It's up to them to put a good show on because the pieces are there. They've just got to pick them up and put them in the right places. And I'll tell you what, this is a good group of drivers, and we've got some really fun action that will follow an already great start to the season.
And again, folks, just looking at the calendar before we take a look at the results from the second race of this season, we've got some good stuff to look forward to. Of course, Sebring here tonight. In 2 weeks' time, we'll be rocking up to Barber, then Michigan on the 2-mile D-shaped oval. Le Mans, a multiple mile long D-shaped road course. Then we'll be heading off to Lucas Oil IRP, Indianapolis Raceway Park, for the 5th round of this championship. Okayama for round number 6, and then Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the road course for round number 7. You'll be able to tune into all of the action every other week here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Gives you a darn good reason to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. But just waiting for these drivers to come back down pit lane and give us the opportunity to take a look at the results from the second race of the night. An absolute barn burner of a night of racing action from start to finish. Those racers put on some good races all throughout. But as you can see, these drivers slowing down on this cool down lap to chillax, so to speak, after a brilliant night of racing action. We'll get those results loaded up for you in just a couple of moments time and let you know who your race winners, who your class winners were at the end of this race. I think Michelle Squire may potentially be treating us to a nice little show here at the end of this race. But let's take a look at the results for this second race of the day. That's actually the warm-up results. Drivers saying no times. They didn't have any time to set in a time during that. But here are your second race results. Michelle Squire walks away with the win. Robert Schwankler still pretty all right with his result. He finishes this race in P2. Zach Deleva will round out your podium in third. It's going to be Isla Specker finishing this race in P4. It's going to be Mike Dam in 5th. Kevin Carlisle will be classed in P6, completing an all-pro top 6. Finishing this race in P7 and winning it in the AM category at the end of this race is going to be Jacob Guidry in the, Chester Guidry, my apologies. He finishes this race in P7. Jake Mackey will win it in the silver class, finishing in 8th. Brock Morris in 9th, with Aaron Sunday rounding out our top 10.
Continuing down this leaderboard, Joe Nagy finishes in 11th with Bobby Childs in 12th. Keith Stein, Mike Mann, Jeff Jacobs, your top 15 with Sean Von Holland. What could have been down in 16th, Chris Thorman, Ryan Cobb, Tom Jenkins, Casey Knight. And then, thinking of Casey Knight, right? Started at P1 and immediately threw it away. And Jimbo Pfeiffer in 21st place. So, I think it's about time we start talking to our class winners. What do you say?
I think that sounds like a pretty good idea, if I do say so myself. So let's get the interviews kick-started here by having a chat with our Race 2 winner in that very nice-looking orange race car, Michelle Squire, now joining us here in the booth. Michelle, welcome in. Congratulations on the win in race number 2 here tonight at Sebring. How was it out there?
Oh my gosh, it was crazy. Especially that opening corner. I ended up getting in the back of somebody just a little bit, but he was able to keep it straight. We were able to keep going, keep racing, avoided any damage. And then I was just trying to get past Chester, I believe. But it is just so hard to pass in these cars. The amount of overspeed advantage you need is kind of crazy, especially at this track. But eventually I got him to make a mistake, kind of coming into the Le Mans chicane, and I was able to pull off the move there. I was hoping second place wouldn't follow me through, but he did. And I think he had a little bit more pace than me, but again, I was kind of able to just drive smart, back up my entries a little bit, make sure I got a nice rotation at the apex and able to map throttle, and there was kind of nothing he could do, even if he had a little bit more pace.
Still pretty good race for you here at Sebring. I want to ask you how you found this new combination. The Ferrari Challenge cars, definitely unique on the iRacing platform, and really there's nothing like Sebring either when it comes to the track side of things. So how did you find this race here today? Was it fun? Was it challenging? And if it was really challenging, what would you say was probably the hardest part about this race here tonight?
Oh, it was an absolute challenge, 100%. The Ferrari Challenge car is so wildly different just in the fact that it has so much power, a little bit less downforce than any other car out there. It doesn't really drive like a GT3. It's close, but not quite. Sebring obviously brings its own challenges, but I love Sebring in real life or in the sim here. It's a fantastic track to drive on. And I think just my enjoyment of Sebring was kind of where some of my pace came from. Trying to understand this car, it's still all new. This series is the first time I turned laps in this car, so hopefully I'll find a little bit more of the secrets of how to get a little bit faster, because there's definitely some out there, as Dan showed in the first race, but as Mike Dan showed in the first race, but hopefully I'll find that.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing you out there on the racetrack throughout the rest of the season, Michelle. I said this a little bit earlier on in the show, but I recognize you from your success this past season in the Ray Esports Club Racing League here on SMB. So nice to see you out here in these Ferrari Challenge cars. But looking ahead to the next round of the season in 2 weeks' time, gonna be heading off to Barber Motorsports Park for the second round of the championship. What are your thoughts heading to that race in 2 weeks' time?
So that one's going to be its own little another little challenge. It's not so much with the bumps; it's just with how technical Barber is, and how slidey this car is, and how precise you have to be. Getting into and controlling the ABS in the braking zones. It is going to be a workout for sure. Maybe not so much the arms, but just trying to keep your focus.
Yeah, both a physical and a mental workout, I think, would probably be the best way to describe it. But Michelle, congratulations on the win in race number 2, and thank you for giving your insight about that race at Barber. And we'll let you give any thanks or shout-outs before we let you go and celebrate.
All right. I want to thank Casey for helping me find this series. It's been an absolute joy to run in, and everyone at XMS and Slow Motion Broadcasting for putting this on, as well as my real-life sponsor, rspeed.net.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us here on the broadcast booth. Well done on the win in race number 2, and looking forward to seeing you out there at Barber next time at it.
Thank you so much.
And that right there was your race 2 winner, Michelle Squires, joining us here in the broadcast booth. And Dylan, we have some more drivers looking to have a chat, so I want to ask who you want to have a chat with.
Let's go with Chester Guidry, right? There was a little bit more excitement in that second race, and Chester's with us right now. And hey, Chester, that is a class win for you in the AM class, and you were in the middle of a lot of fighting going on in that mid pack. Just take us through kind of the eye-opening experience you had fighting for that 7th place overall and class win.
Yeah, thanks. That was a lot of chaos for sure. That second race there, the temperature was creeping up and up and up, and the car just started to get really, the track started getting really greasy and car moving around. So, I had a self-inflicted mistake there in turn 1, spun and dropped back into the field. And so just trying to fight my way back up. But this new series is a lot of fun so far. A lot of great driving out there. So I'm having fun with it.
So, I feel like Sebring, obviously, it's all of its characteristics is a very bumpy track, no elevation, all in the character of the bumps. Did that open the door for, in your opinion, more close-knit side-by-side action throughout once you got through like that third sector, the flow there, all the long curves? I'm really rambling, but what I'm trying to ask here is just, what do you think about Sebring lends itself towards this close action that you had tonight?
Yeah, so the bumps definitely add some character. In this Ferrari, the suspension is extremely stiff, so it's one little bad bump and you're crossed up. I'll say this about the bumps: it does I think, induce some tight racing. And I think where I get caught out a lot of times is I try to jump back into the throttle a little too soon, trying to get that ever a little bit closer, and it ends up kicking the back of the car out. And so it's really a ballet out there of balancing the car, balancing the bumps, trying to manage your throttle inputs, your brake inputs. It's just an absolute blast to race on this track and in this car. So yeah, it's a great combination.
All right, so Barber, in 2 weeks' time, take us through your experience there. How do you think the racing will be with these 296s?
Easiest question of the interview. I have zero experience at Barber. I'm gonna have to purchase the track and start making some laps over the next 2 weeks. So hopefully it goes good, and hopefully we're talking again in 2 weeks. But we'll see.
Hey, hopefully that is the case. Here's your chance now. Give a shout out to whoever you'd like to, and give your final thoughts.
Yeah, so all the guys involved with HTPK Racing, that's our race team here on iRacing. Really enjoy the series. I appreciate the guys with XMS putting this together. Special shout out to Bobby Childs for putting all the paint schemes together as well. And thank you to the broadcasters for helping us put on a good show. So appreciate that.
Hey, we do what we can. You guys put on the good show. We just talked about it. Chester, congrats again on the M-Class win.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that was Chester Guidry. And Ron, always a pleasure talking to a race winner. How about race one winner of the Pro Class? You've got Mike Dam.
Yeah, that we do. We finished P5 in the second race tonight, but finished P1 in the first. Mike Dam now joining us here on the broadcast booth. Mike, welcome in. A pretty productive night for you here at Sebring. Got that race one win and did pretty all right in the second. So how was it out there?
Hey, fellas. Nice to talk to you. Yeah, that second race was a little bit challenging, to say the least. Yeah, I was definitely looking to stay with Michelle there, but yeah, I kind of got stuck there on P1, so it was kind of just an uphill haul from there.
Yeah, and I want to ask you about your general thoughts on this combination here. You know, this car, as I said a few moments ago, there's nothing really like it, and this track, there's really nothing like it either. So how did you find this combination thus far tonight? Did you find it a little bit easy to get used to, or was it a bit of a test?
It's honestly not that bad. This car is actually really, it's really nice to drive. It's actually really good over the bumps. So it was actually pretty nice here. The thing is not great on the brakes, so that was a little bit of a challenge. And then there's also a few corners where you couldn't quite get on the power like you could with a GT3. Just have a little too many horses behind there. So, but no, it was actually a fun combo.
Yeah, it looked quite fun out there, and whenever I saw y'all battling out there on the racetrack, it looked like a hoot in these very challenging, very enjoyable cars. I actually said early on in the show, in the interview with Bobby in between the two races, how even though I suck in sports cars, I still really enjoy running these things. And I'll ask you about whether or not you're going to enjoy the next round of the season at Barber in 2 weeks' time. What are your thoughts heading there?
Well, Barber's my main track, so like I've just historically done well there. I really like it, so looking forward to that one for sure. And yeah, it's a fun little series combo here with the reverse grids and stuff. It's a good time.
Yeah, really looking forward to the rest of the season and happy to be a part of this broadcast here. But Mike, we'll let you give any thanks or shout outs before we let you go and celebrate that race one win.
Yeah, just all the drivers here and the admins who put it together, make it what it is. It's a good time. My teammates at Orion, and thanks to you guys for broadcasting.
Yeah, thank you as well for joining us here in the booth, Mike. Congratulations on that win earlier on, the P5 in the second race, and looking forward to seeing you out there on the racetrack at Barber next time out.
Thanks, guys.
And that right there was your race one winner, and overall pretty solid driver from the opening race of this season. Mike Dam joining us here on the broadcast booth, but Dylan what a way to get this season of racing action up and rolling.
That was awesome. You know, Sebring should always put on a great show, but it's the drivers, right? At the end of the day, they've got all the pieces. They just need to put it together and give us some close racing, some hard-fought battles. It's exactly what we got, especially in that midfield section. So excited to see how everyone reacts when we get to Barber, the very different racetrack, a ton of elevation change. That's where its character comes from. After that, we go to Michigan. So we've got some fun racing all season long, and we're excited that you're all paying attention and hitting that like and subscribe button and hit that notification bell on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Hey, how about that?
Perfect time for the graphic. And I'll tell you what, perfect time to touch on the stuff that we have coming up here on Slow Motion Broadcasting as well, because believe me, folks, the action does not stop. The action's not even stopping tonight, as going on right about now is the second race of the Sim Racers Group F3 Series. They're actually running at the brand new Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez down there in Mexico City, so you'll be able to see some Formula 3 action after this broadcast wraps up in a few moments' time. This upcoming weekend, though, as per usual, the Weekend Warriors gonna be running some pretty special events. The Formula V's gonna be running at this track, but on the club layout, the north half of the circuit. That will be on Saturday at 3:30 Eastern time is when that shows up to get rolling. The Formula Ford's going to be running on the full version of the track, and then the Spec Racer Ford's going to be running the Weekend Warriors Spec Racer Ford 10-year anniversary special event. That'll be at Road Atlanta, and that'll be broadcasted, of course, here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, the home of the Weekend Warriors and the iRacing Esports Network as well. Really looking forward to that event with some fantastic names from the Weekend Warriors, past, present, and future, and hopefully all of you will be able to tune into that broadcast as well. Got some oval action to look forward to before round number 3 of this FROC. I keep saying FROC. Before round number 3 of this FROC season at Michigan, this upcoming Sunday, in fact, we've got XSLR running at Talladega with the ARCA cars, so you'll be able to tune into that. AMS, American Muscle Series, going to be running their latest round of the season this upcoming Tuesday, followed shortly thereafter by the latest round of the Sim Racers Group F4 Series running at the Hungaro Ring after that, and then F3 action at Interlagos, and you can also see the Formula V's running at the Saxon Ring to kick off the month of October. A lot of good stuff to look forward to here on SMB, and of course the next time you'll be able to see this series of Ferrari Road Oval Challenge will be at Barber in 2 weeks time, so come time for that broadcast on October the 8th. Hopefully all of you will be able to tune in once again. But as for this broadcast here for the opening round of the Xtreme Motorsports Ferrari Road and Oval Challenge, that will just about do it. So for myself, Ron Maunz, Dylan Coyle joining me in the commentary booth, and Josh Wilkie doing a wonderful job working the cameras and the graphics in the virtual production hauler, I say thank you all so very much to Whiplash Simcams for giving us the cameras, and to all of you for tuning into the show, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.